on financial services. It would lower the barriers between banks and insurance companies and securities firms that would be offering the same services. During this vote, we want to get your views. As you've been watching this debate, what do you think of the issue? Phone number's on the bottom of your screen. For liberals, 202-624-1111. For conservatives, 624-1115, and for moderates, 202-737-6734. This is a compromise bill worked out by House and Senate negotiators earlier today. You heard that the Senate approved it. The vote was 90-8. We're going to start your phone calls in Tennessee. It's Cookville on the conservative line. Hi.
Good evening.
Hi.
I oppose this bill.
Why is that?
I'm a conservative. This bill like that is all for just one thing, big money. Big time money like that where you have banks, you have, before it's over with, you have too many mergers. You have just about 10 big financial giants. They'll control 90% of the money in this country. This is not what's good for the consumer. And if you think you get a loan from a bank on a mortgage or a house, a car, or a consumer part, think again, you're going to have a hard time getting this loan. This is the same type system they had over in Japan, where 3 or 4 banks went bankrupt over there. And in return, their economy has been in the tank for the last 5-6 years. This exactly will happen in our country here again.
All right, New York City now on the Liberal line.
Good evening. I'm completely opposed to the bill. It seems rather clear that the banking industry and its growth has done little to make banking better, more accessible, and more affordable to consumers. As the changes in banking over the last 10 years have demonstrated, consumers have not benefited in any way from the consolidation of banking and the large growth of the few remaining banks that we have. There seems to be so little competition anymore between banking that they have little incentive to offer better service and better product and better pricing for consumers. I don't see how this bill will in any way reverse that. It's so clear that as things have currently gone, consumers have lost in every respect, and this can't possibly turn that around. It can only make it even worse than it has already been.
We'll get a view from the moderate line on Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Yes, I was on a bank today with one of my friends, and he tried to remove some money from his account, and they want to charge him $1 per $1,000 from his own money.
Was that for some kind of a cashier's check or just to withdraw it?
Cash money.
And what did you think of that?
I'm totally against that, because those banks, they charge us all the time more and more and more. In no long, we're going to have to give them the money, and they're not going to do anything for us.
Burke, Virginia's next. Hi.
Hi. Actually, I'm calling in favor of this bill. I know they have worked tirelessly on this bill throughout this year. I believe it definitely does favor the consumer. The consumer has more choices of getting, whether it's a loan or checking account through an insurance through one institution versus going to various different places. I believe in the long run, we're going to see nothing but positive impacts to this bill being enacted, hopefully into law. So I just want to say that.
All right, St. Louis, Missouri now on the Liberal line.
Yeah, I'm opposed to the bill. I appreciate the ideals behind the bill, but I think that that once you start doing one service with a company, that they're going to want to force you into doing other services with the same company, and the freedom of choice won't be as wide because of the pressure within the company that you're doing business.
Rosendale, New York.
Yes, Congressman Hinchy made a good point there when he said that we're only going to give 3/4 of the time, I believe it was, to the side that's for this measure and 25% to the people who are against. Is this really a democracy if we're willing to do that and not hear both sides equally? Thank you.
Thanks. The House voting on this resolution. It's the rules for the debate on this conference report that would break down the barriers in the financial services industry between banks, insurance companies, and securities firms. If this rule passes, this resolution, then we'd see 1 hour of general debate on the bill. The Senate passed the bill earlier today, this conference report, the vote 90-8. Next up, Columbus, Ohio.
Hello there.
Hi.
I just want to say that I work in the financial services industry, and
Which part?
I'm sorry?
Which part?
I work in the banking industry.
Mm-hmm.
I was previously employed as a stockbroker, and I'm very much against this bill. I don't see how anybody, any consumer that is, would think that they would have more choices, because at some point in the future, there's going to be 6 or 7 super financial powerhouses, and they'll control all the wealth in America. The other thing that I would say, if anybody thinks that corporations will actually lower prices that have been set previously as a precedent, if they think that they're going to lower prices, absolutely not. They're going to try to keep those prices in structure to make sure that those gross margins stay high in order to earn corporate profits. That's where the real money's going to be made. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right, thanks for the call. Syracuse, New York, on the Liberal line.
Good evening.
Hi.
I couldn't agree more with everyone that has called against this bill. Now, my biggest fear is that everyone involved here is going to have more control over people and their personal lives and their personal business, all working together to promote themselves. And, I fear that it's Big Brother looking down on us. And, again, I'm against it, and thank you.
Houston, Texas, moderate line.
Hi, good evening. I, too, oppose this bill. I think anything that removes any of the Glass-Steagal restrictions is a bad idea in general. Every time the banking industry has come to Congress and asked for any sort of change in the banking laws, it's just turned into more fees for consumers. I mean, ATMs were free a few years ago. Now you can pay $5 or $10 sometimes to get money out of the ATM in a worst case situation. We're looking at profiling for financial services with the loss of your personal information's privacy. And I can't help but think that if this does pass, it'll probably lend more credence to some of the cyber money efforts, because at least those give you some anonymity. In any case, I very seriously oppose this bill.
All right. Bismarck, North Dakota, conservative line.
Yeah, my name is Lenny, and I'm calling in favor of the bill, actually. I think it is a sweeping piece of legislation which is going to provide this country with the drastic reform that they need in the financial industry today. Information and privacy is already being shared among people through the transfer and sale of this vital information, from what I understand. What this is doing is tightening up some of those loopholes, giving consumers more protection, and the financial markets within the country a better chance to compete on a global market.
And Bismarck, do you think that's a good thing?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Belpre, Ohio, Liberal line.
Hi, I'm a young individual. I'm calling from a small town in Ohio. I was just wanting to express my belief that if we go ahead and pass this bill, we're, again, backing big industry. You're looking at banks taking over the whole nation as far as the economy goes. And I work for a local mortgage company, and I see what I can do for people day in and day out with their financial obligations to other small debtors and whatnot. But I think by doing away with this bill, we'll promote growth for the economy, and we will enable others to benefit from losing much of the money that they've worked so hard to earn.
All right, thanks for the comment. This financial services conference report passed earlier today by the Senate 90-8. It would lower the barriers between banks and insurance companies and securities firms that are offering similar services. We'll take another phone call and then learn more about the bill. Memphis.